to you by Molson, celebrating our 200th year. The best is yet to come. And by Roots, genuine leather, authentic athletic wear made in Canada, known around the world. Also brought to you by Ford of Canada, where quality is more than a commitment. Quality is job one.
We have Eddie, Bélanger, Hunter, Swoboda, Alfie. Tremblay moved up to the first row. Tremblay, first row. Big shot now, experience.
Every year for the past 75, the Montreal Canadiens have posed for a team photograph. This year, for the first time, they've had a different kind of picture taken.
Larry?
Baseball players, though.
Yeah.
So why can't we?
Can they tim it up?
I haven't got a price yet. Go. 6.
You can stay.
Okay, look here, everybody. Chris, look here. That's it.
Learn their names from your father, who first heard them from his. Aurel Joliat, Howie Morenz, Rocket Richard, Jean Beliveau. For 3/4 of a century, they've dominated their sport as no team has any other.
Gel with gel today.
Going with the gel, Telly? Gonna say that greasy Italian.
Greg, in the first paper this morning, the coach said you're better than Rod Langwood.
Hey guys,
They're gonna have. Wait, that's what he say.
They're gonna have Ludz's corner.
Hey, Ludz. How about Chuck go? Lucky. Sylvain, Adi.
Bienvenue au Forum de Montréal et au match de ce soir entre les Nordiques de Québec et les Canadiens de Montréal. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
In all, the Montreal Canadiens have won 22 Stanley Cups. In the past 3 decades, one almost every 2 years.
Swedish. The best Swede in the NHL. Mats Nestlund. The best centerman was injuries for three weeks. Pierre Mondou. The best Maurice for sure, Mario Tremblay. Mario! He's looking fucking Larry.
what are you looking at? Oh yeah, you should talk. Joe strap around the face.
Oh, tell me, Rip.
5 again. 3.
Seasoned veterans. Yeah.
slow. There's nobody chasing us. So the guy without the punch is like.
But you know what screws me up right off the bat is when you got it over there and then all of a sudden you pass it across. Now everything. If you just hang on to it and go in, then I can play you a lot better. I just cut you off so you can't pass it.
So that's why.
In French, they call the Montreal Canadiens tradition la ligne, the line,
The guy on the far
spanning the
side
past
wouldn't be able to
75
hang on
years
so that I can-
through Bob Gainey and Larry Robinson.
Somebody be pushing him.
When I first started up and I came into the dressing room, my first day, I mean, I was scared stiff. I sat there. I was afraid. I mean, the first pair of shin pads I had were Maurice Richard's old shin pads, you know, and I felt shy to go over and ask if I could have a pair that fit me. You know, they were that much too small. And I find nowadays that if in the same situation, one of the hockey players, for a young hockey player, if he could come up, he would be mad and insulted that he didn't get a brand new pair. And they're much bolder, more outspoken, the kids of today.
210 pounds of dynamite with a 1-inch fuse.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, let's go. Oh, sorry, too close to you.
When Robinson and Gainey first joined the Canadiens in the 1970s, they were the Flying Frenchmen, on the verge of winning 4 consecutive Stanley Cups. Today, their teammates include a Swede, a Czech, and as many Americans as Quebecois. But they're heirs to the richest legacy in all of sport.
There have always been mornings like this in Algonquin Park. The sun burning a mist from the waters of Smoke Lake. These are the colors, the textures, the spirit of Roots. Genuine leather, authentic athletic wear, made in Canada, known around the world. Roots, timeless quality.
The enemy. Rain. A mere 1/8 inch can float your car off the road. Thus the rationale for Vector, Goodyear's unique all-season radio. So advanced, its crisscross tread actually pumps away water to help more tire and your car stay on the road. You either have Goodyear Vectors or you need them.
Aerodynamics is a science in constant search of efficiency. The 1986 Ford Tempo, engineered with front-wheel drive, styled to slice through the wind, designed to respond and handle precisely. Ford Tempo, efficient, affordable, and now with air conditioning at no extra cost with a purchase of an extra value package. No wonder Tempo is Canada's best-selling compact car. At Ford, quality is job one.
No one knows the story better than this man, Aurel Joliat. He's 84 years old now, a retired railway ticket agent. But in 1922, Aurel Joliat was a young James Cagney in the uniform of the Montreal Canadiens. Just 138 pounds in full gear, he could skate, he could stick handle, and he never turned his back on a fight. Today, Aurel Joliat is one of the oldest members of hockey's oldest team. He still skates the ice of the Rideau Canal in Ottawa, still at his old playing weight, and he still says that all he's ever truly been is an athlete.
I played junior, intermediate, and senior city league, you know. And I was playing against and with fellows that were 30 and 35 years of age, and I was only about 16. My mother and father never told me what to do after that. So it was a great life. To be a little dramatic, or not dramatic, but a little rough and tough, he said. I played my own way then.
Joliat was 19, playing amateur hockey in Northern Ontario, when he got a call from the Ottawa Senators of the new National Hockey League. General Manager Tom Gorman asked him to turn pro.
Well, Tommy, I said, how much are you going to give me? He said, I'll offer you $250 for the season, just as a spare. Spare very, very seldom got on the ice. In those days, 6 men played the whole game. So he says, if you're going out the door, he said, listen, Joliat, he says, if you don't play here, he says, I'll bar you completely. I said, thanks very much, Tommy. See you again sometime. The interview was no longer than that, about a minute at the most.
It was an era long before free agents in sport, and if Aurel Joliat didn't want to play for his hometown team, Tom Gorman could keep him from playing for anyone else.
He did bar me, yeah. He barred me. I wasn't allowed to play in the National Hockey League.
So it was that Aurel Joliat left Ottawa and headed west, to the prairies, where he got off the train in Saskatchewan. There, for the price of his $5 train ticket, he became the property of the new professional team from Saskatoon. It was a deal typical of Aurel Joliat's financial career.
I lived a simple life. I don't go for fame and prosperity. Of course, I always like to have money, but I don't like to spend money. I just like to throw it away.
6 decades later, Joliat says he sometimes wishes he'd stayed in Saskatchewan, found a real job, and forgotten all about hockey. But that's not what happened. In the early 1920s, Montreal was the Paris of hockey, home of Le Club de Hockey Canadien, founded a dozen years before. Nicknamed the Flying Frenchmen, they were led by a star forward named Newsy Lalonde. The Canadiens had won their first Stanley Cup in the middle of the First World War. But by the 20s, Lalonde was past his prime. Team owner Leo Dandurand needed a scorer to complement his great goalie, Georges Vezina. And he'd heard of a man out west named Aurel Joliat. It was the fall of 1922. Montreal convinced the NHL to let Joliat return from exile and traded Lalonde to Saskatoon to get him. And as fate would have it, the Canadiens' first exhibition game was against their All-Stars new team. Montreal was still the Paris of hockey. Saskatoon was not. And Newsy Lalonde wanted revenge.
But anyway, I made one rush up the ice, and wasn't in condition yet. I was puffing pretty hard, you know. Lalonde edged over, you know, and he gave it to me right here. And the first thing I knew, I was laying flat on the ice, out cold as a cucumber. There were quite a few guys that could hit with the stick in those days. Don't forget, you had to keep ducking a few times.
Since the time of Lalonde and Joliat, few names in any field have meant so much as the Montreal Canadiens and the Montreal Forum. What La Scala is to opera, the Louvre to fine art, that's what this place is to hockey. And seldom has it seen more dramatic events than those inspired by the Canadiens' first great star, Howie Morenz. He really wasn't a flying Frenchman at all, Morenz. He was from a small town in Ontario where they called him the Stratford Streak. At the age of 20, the Canadiens paid a $45 tailor's bill, and Morenz came to Montreal to play center for Aurel Joliat.
He was a marvelous hockey player. Instinctively marvelous hockey player. It was a picnic to play with Morenz. I remember playing games with Morenz. I walked off the ice after playing 60 minutes. Felt like going out and playing another game. Marvelous, you know, so fast. God. Yeah.
Howie Morenz became the best hockey player of his generation. He and Joliat were hard-living, hard-playing men who were together for 12 years and won 3 Stanley Cups. If it weren't for him, said Morenz, they wouldn't write so much about me.
It worked out very good for a while, until Morenz had his leg broken in this game.
It was early in the new year of 1937. Morenz and Joliat were aging, but Montreal was still fighting for first place. 6 days after this dressing room picture, Howie Morenz and the Canadiens played Chicago at the Forum.
He made one of his famous rushes, and he went to turn and he skidded and he ended up, and his right foot went right into the end boards and is stuck there, you see. And this big guy playing defense for Chicago, Earl Seibert, fell on him, his leg right there. You'd think he'd have done it on purpose. No kidding.
Morenz's leg was broken in 4 places. The doctors said he was through for the season. But no one could guess what would happen next.
Finally, I come back from Boston, went up to see him, and he was in a stupor. He was, well, to tell you the truth, I said, this isn't Morenz at all. He had faded away. In about 10 days' time, he'd, tell you the truth, I didn't know. Unbelievable.
Howie Morenz never returned to the Montreal Canadiens. 40 days after the game against Chicago, he got out of his hospital bed, tried to walk, collapsed, and died. He was only 34. The city of Montreal was in shock. Howie Morenz's body was taken to the Forum so his fans could say goodbye.
Well, it was quite an impressive sight, all right. You know, 15,000 people. It was very, very quiet, nevertheless, in the Forum, eh? Where Morenz played his best hockey and thrilled the thousands of people over the years. He told me one time, he said, whenever I can't play hockey, he says, I'd just as soon be dead. Yeah, I remember him telling me that. Yeah.
Go down to your roots. Get down to your roots. Get down at your roots. Go back to your roots. Go down to your roots. Get down to your roots. Go down to your roots. Go back to your roots.
Remember the days when cars were fun to drive? Those days are back. Those days are back because one North American manufacturer is producing cars that are innovative and exciting to drive. One manufacturer, totally committed to quality. Remember the name. At Ford, quality is job one.
We can do magic. Come take the train. It's an adventure of comfort and space. A splendid sight. It's a warm embrace. Transcontinental. Come feel the magic. Come take the train. No other road will be the same. Come feel the magic. Take the train.
Oh man, rhythm is in my shoes. No use to sitting there and singing the blues. So be my guest, you got nothing to lose. Won't you let me take you on a sea cruise? Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby, ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby, ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby. Won't you let me take you on a sea cruise?
Molson Canadian. Taste that'll stop you cold.
Howie Morenz is not the only ghost to haunt the Montreal Forum. There are the spirits of countless playoffs past, uncounted cups to come, and of the man whose name and number are the greatest legend hockey has ever known.
La rondelle est mise au jeu. Émile Bouchard reçoit la rondelle à la ligne bleue. Il lance vers le filet de Brodal. Le disque est pris par Stewart, qui à son tour lance le caoutchouc à la ligne bleue. Et c'est Blake qui reçoit la rondelle. Passe à Mansdell. Mansdell à Richard. Richard lance. Et goal! Maurice Richard. C'est maintenant 3-2 pour le Canadien. Alors qu'il ne reste plus que 14 secondes à jouer en troisième période. Maurice Richard.
We all wore the same costume as Maurice Richard did. The red, white, and blue costume of the Montreal Canadiens, the best hockey team in the world.
We all combed our hair like Maurice Richard, and we used a kind of hair glue to keep it in place. We laced our skates like Maurice Richard. We taped our sticks like Maurice Richard. We cut his picture out of all the newspaper, and we knew everything there was to know about Maurice Richard. On the ice, when the referee blew his whistle, both teams would rush at the puck. We were 5 Maurice Richards, again 5 other Maurice Richards, throwing themselves on the puck. We were 10 players, all wearing the uniform of the Montreal Canadiens, all with the same burning enthusiasm. We all wore the famous number 9 on our backs. How could we forget that?
Hello, comment ça va? How are you?
Yeah.
You speak French or...
French and English.
In English. Fait que c'est ton nom à toi?
Patrick.
Patrick Paris. Tu es un joueur de hockey?
Oui.
Tu joues pour qui, là? Mont-Royal Hockey, c'est quoi ça? C'est dans l'Université de Montréal?
It has been more than a quarter of a century since Rocket Richard scored his final goal.
Je me rappelle pas de l'avoir rencontré, mais est-ce qu'il demeure dans ce bois ici?
Many of the youngsters who still fight to wear his number on their backs likely wouldn't recognize the man who made it famous.
Tu connais pas ça? Et moi, j'ai joué ici au hockey dans ce terrain-là. C'est bon. Comme ça, tu
And
sais
the
à peu
record
près
book he once dominated now scarcely contains his name.
I think I had about 24, 25 record in the hockey book in the National Hockey League. And I had many in the Stanley Cup playoff. And today, after 25 years, well, I don't think I got one left during the season. Well, no doubt there should have been 2 set of records, and they should have stopped the record in 1967 when they did the first expansion. Well, it's hard to compare. I hate to talk about that with the young generation because they never saw hockey 25, 30 years ago.
It was more than 40 years ago, in 1942, when Maurice Richard first joined the Montreal Canadiens. In training camp the following season, Coach Dick Irvin put him on a line with Elmer Locke and Tove Blake. The punch line, they were called. And in 1945, the Rockets scored 50 goals in 50 games, beating the record set in 1917, the very first year of the NHL. In just 3 seasons, Richard had become history's most explosive scorer.
I just felt the same way all the time, nervous. I was always nervous, and when I was on the ice, I wanted to win so much that there's a lot of things that I did I don't remember, and a lot of the goals that I score I don't remember.
But it wasn't just the goals the Rockets scored, it was the way he played. When Elmer Locke scored in overtime to win the 1953 Stanley Cup, Richard hugged him so hard he broke his nose. Goalie Terry Sawchuk said the most fearsome sight in hockey was the Rockets' eyes. And in Richard's tempestuous career, there was no more stormy season than 1954-55. The Rocket leading the scoring race he had ironically never won, the Canadiens battling their arch-rivals Detroit. It was an emotional time. He was by now a hero across Canada and a tribal god in Quebec. More and more often, he faced strong-arm tactics, argued with officials, and retaliated. It came to a head in Boston, just 2 weeks remaining in the season. Richard fought Bruin defenseman Hal Laycoe. He hit Laycoe with his stick and broke it. He grabbed another and hit Laycoe again. Restrained by a linesman, he attacked him too. For league officials, it was the last straw. When he returned to Montreal, Richard was summoned to the office of NHL President Clarence Campbell.
Whether this type of conduct is the product of temperamental instability or willful defiance of the authority in the game does not matter. Richard will be suspended from all games, both league and playoff, for the balance of the current season.
Yeah, I don't think it deserved the suspension of the whole playoff. I got suspended for the last 3 games of the season, but the playoff had nothing to do with the season. I think the decisions, they should have taken another decision to suspend me for the following season, maybe for 10, 15, or 20 games. But the playoff was kind of hard to take.
The suspension hit at the very heart and soul of French Canada. The following day, the Canadiens were to play Detroit.
The main entrance of the Forum on St. Catherine Street, a huge crowd of people.
Before the game, a crowd gathered, growing in size and growing ugly.
They're trying to stop the streetcars. They're on the streetcar tracks, but the police at the moment seem to have things well in hand.
The Rocket arrived just before game time. But the game was secondary. All eyes were on Richard, as Montreal, without him, fell behind. Suddenly, unexpectedly, Clarence Campbell entered the arena. He took his usual seat. Then it began. The deluge of fruit, programs, rubbers, verbal abuse, and violence. The first period had just ended when the bomb went off, sending clouds of smoke towards Canada. The NHL president finally sought refuge. The crowd forgot about Campbell and rushed for the exits. The game was forfeited to Detroit.
They cheer as the police try to push them back. The police are now forming a line and pushing the crowd back. Right in the center of it is the fellow saying, "Outlaw Campbell."
Outside, the rioting raged on for hours. Stores were looted, cars overturned and set on fire. 8 policemen and 25 civilians were injured. Damage was in the millions. The mob rampaged along St. Catherine Street until 4 o'clock in the morning. The next day, from the ravaged Forum, Richard spoke on radio.
My dear friend, because I always try so hard to win and had my trouble at Boston, I was suspended. At playoff time, it hurts not to be in the game with the boys. So that no further harm will be done, I would like to ask everyone to get behind the team and help the boys to win from Rangers and Detroit.
But there was no happy ending. Teammate Boom Boom Geoffrion won the scoring title and was booed for it. In the playoffs, the Canadiens were again beaten by Detroit. The Red Wings got the cup from Clarence Campbell.
I never did like Mr. Campbell. I wasn't sure it was him that took the decision or the owners, but I think it was a bad decision. And that's what is in my mind, and I got that in my mind since that time, and I'll never forget that.
But Maurice Richard also never lost another Stanley Cup. In the next 5 years, the Canadiens established a record that stands to this day. In 1960, as Montreal defeated the Toronto Maple Leafs to win their 5th consecutive championship, the Rocket scored his final goal.
Intercepted by Maurice Richard. Maurice Richard passed it right in front of the net. Moore took a whack at it. Maurice Richard right in front. It's in his score.
I need to laugh, and when the sun is out,
You'll love Mercury Topaz, and with air conditioning at no extra cost and a great finance rate, you and your sunshine will feel good in a very special way.
sunny day, good day, sunshine.
Something before dinner, sir.
I'd like half a bottle of Golden.
A half bottle, sir?
Of Molson Golden.
Howard, you won't believe this, but there's some weirdo over there who wants a half bottle of Golden. And this gentleman would like the other half. Sir, would you like the top half or the bottom half?
You're smooth, son. Smooth as golden.
You exercise. Everyone deserves an exercise, an indulgence. With a Score candy bar. And 1, and 2, and... crunchy, buttery toffee, sumptuous milk chocolate. It's really rich. Look, everyone deserves to indulge themselves once in a while. And when you do, nothing satisfies you like Score. Now, back to my workout.
There have always been mornings like this in Algonquin Park. The sun burning a mist from the waters of Smoke Lake. These are the colors, the textures, the spirit of Roots. Genuine leather, authentic athletic wear, made in Canada, known around the world. Roots, timeless quality.
Much in hockey has changed since Rocket Richard played his last game, but not the best of it. Wow, the dog. There are still skates for Christmas, and there are still dreams.
Hockey Night in Canada was on radio. On Sunday morning, we would play on the little ice surface that everybody had at that time behind the house. And one boy would be a Toll Blake, another one Elmer Lack, another one Maurice Richard. Like today, I suppose, when you're 10, 12, 13 years old, you hope or you believe at that age that you're going to make a career in professional sport.
From the very beginning, Jean Belivau's destiny was clear. At home in Victoriaville, Quebec, he recalls the priests who coached him blocking shots with their clerical skirts. By the time he was a junior in Quebec City, they had to build a new rink to hold all the people who came to see him play. At the age of 20, he was the most heralded player in Canada. But then there was a strange twist to the story. Jean Beliveau refused to join the Montreal Canadiens and the NHL.
At the end of my junior time, they had a day in Quebec and where they present me with a car in 1951. First car. I never had a car before. So I decided to play another year. We had a good Quebec Senior League. Panchimlak was coaching. I decided to play in a year to show my appreciation to the people of Quebec.
Beliveau said it was a matter of loyalty. There were those who said he couldn't afford to turn pro. Indeed, Jean Beliveau made $20,000 a year in Quebec, as much as Rocket Richard, the best paid player in the NHL.
I never hide it. I said it at the time. I said, don't forget, I said, if I'm staying here, it's because I'm well paid. No doubt about that, that I was well paid. I used to report to the Canadian training camp every fall. And you can imagine when I was leaving Quebec, that those people in Quebec were a little nervous, and they used to tell me, whatever they offer you, Jean, same thing here.
Jean Beliveau was every inch the matinee idol. His wedding in the spring of 1953, the social occasion of the year. When he finally signed with Montreal, it was recorded as a historic event. It was said that at the time there were two religions in Quebec, Catholicism and the Canadians. Beliveau joined a team of larger-than-life heroes with a tremendous following from the first day in uniform until the day they retired.
Vous êtes pour nous bon exemple de continuer.
After 18 years as a player, now almost as long a team executive, Beliveau is still the very picture of the man whose elegance on the ice won 10 Stanley Cups.
It's the heart that counts.
Yeah, that's what they told me every time.
That's right.
Led by Beliveau and inspired by Richard, the Montreal Canadiens of the late 1950s may have been the greatest hockey team ever. Their names and faces still vivid after all these years.
Jeffrey On, Moore, Marshall, Johnson, Plant, Cole Blake, and you see Tom Foley with Mr. Selke and Senator Molson.
It was a simpler time in sport, when you kissed your wife goodbye at the station and found your berth in the Pullman car, and when the most exotic place you had to go for a game was Chicago. They still come to the Forum.
If you would have been
Doug
dedicated,
Harvey
you could have got the 7.
and Dickie Moore
You mean I had to work?
and Henri Richard to compare age and weight and to try to count their Stanley Cups.
34, 40. I got 5. 40? So it's 40. Yeah, but I
Yeah,
got
but
mine
you
with
got,
different
you got
teams.
3 different teams. If you wouldn't have played so well in Chicago, we would have had another one.
Yeah.
But it would have still added up to the same. What are you going to do? It would have been the same. Only I would have had the money in my pocket instead of yours.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah,
good.
you broke the string, eh?
But I was going good that year, you know. I had a young bride, and it was giving me to whatever. I just got to tell the truth.
And the ocean.
You understand that?
I do.
For these men, it was the best of times, but in a way, also the worst. They won 5 consecutive Stanley Cups, a feat accomplished neither before nor since. But for the men who followed, for anything less than the Stanley Cup, there was no excuse.
In my case, I remember coming out of the farm after a hockey game here, after scoring 2 goals, and you could hear some people, well, you could have scored 3. And on some night I scored 3, you could have scored 4, and I was lucky enough to score 4 on a few occasions, and I could have scored 5. So you have the feeling that whatever you do, it's not enough. It's hard.
You should play more like molten gold. Smooth, smooth, huh? That's molten gold. That's smooth. Grazie. Roots. Get down to your roots. Get down at your roots. Go back to your roots. Go down to your roots. Get down to your roots. Go down to your roots. Go back to your roots.
Announcing an important step forward in auto service, the Canadian Tire Service Promise.
At Canadian Tire, we promise to fix your car right. And it's not right until you're satisfied. The bill you get will never be more than the estimate you approve. We guarantee our work, we guarantee our parts. We promise to do only what's necessary. For auto service that sets new industry standards, the right choice is Canadian Tire. Nothing unexpected, nothing unexplained. We promise.
Mercuries. You can drive the future now. The new Mercuries.
Baby, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Merci à Lafleur. Et il marque!
Well, Lafleur's Lafleur, and that's to put it plainly. Lafleur did it all. He come up the ice with full speed. They left the puck for him. He gets it into the there. Back to Lafleur. Lafleur turns his place into a frenzy again. What could be more appropriate if anyone...
This Canadiens goal scored by number 10, Guy Lafleur.
Juste avant, pour ceux qui viendraient de se joindre à nous,
Jean Beliveau played for the Montreal Canadiens until the age of 40.
Juste avant qu'on fasse justement ce bilan est entré le...
A generation later, and 7 years younger, the last of the Canadiens' crown jewels, Guy Lafleur, has announced that he too will retire. When he was Lafleur's age, Beliveau still had 5 Stanley Cups to win. But today, for Lafleur, there are the eulogies that only great athletes get to hear.
He was a player that displayed individual talents, but never forgot about his teammates and his hockey team. And anytime you win 6 Stanley Cups, that's a great honor. And I think Lafleur was one of the best that played, and very, very great gentleman off the ice.
Wayne Gretzky, c'est lui. Wayne.
He can still skate like the wind, but with 2 goals in his last 43 games, the magic, the most important part, has gone.
Well, I never doubted in my mind that I was not able to score 40 or 50 goals again. It was tough enough to read the paper or heard people talking, when you're going to get out of your slump, things like that. So that's why I decided to retire. It's one of the reasons why.
The Lafleur story is in many ways a modern Canadian fable, which begins in the town of Thurso, Quebec. Growing up here, your future lay somewhere between three main landmarks: the paper mill, the hockey rink, and the Catholic Church.
Well, like the rest of the kids today, when they're 6, 7, 8 years old, I remember I was an altar boy, and I wanted to be a priest, but it's a good thing I changed my mind. Because I was there in the morning and we missed class, and that was the only reason why I was an altar boy. But when the priest was close friends with our family at that time, and he came here and said, how much time you have to go to school to be a priest? And when he told me, I said, forget it.
So Guy Lafleur made another choice, and now the road which leads to the Thurso Arena is Guy Lafleur Boulevard. When Lafleur was 9 years old, as his son Martin is now, on Friday nights he'd sleep in his equipment, skates next to the bed, and early Saturday morning he'd sneak into the darkened rink by himself through a hole in the arena wall.
You had the ice for yourself alone. There's nobody around you, and you were able to practice shooting the puck off the board, where the puck's going to go. And I kept that till the day I decided to retire, because even at the Forum, I was there an hour before everybody, so just to get practice.
At the age of 10, wearing Jean Belivaux's number 4, he was the star of the Quebec Pee Wee tournament. The dream of one day becoming a Montreal Canadien already firmly fixed in his imagination.
It's always been my team, because Jean Beliveau was my idol, and Henri Richard, Cournoyer, Jean-Claude Tremblay at that time. They were all guys that I was watching every night. You know, every time they played, I was watching them, and especially Jean Beliveau.
Like Beliveau before him, Guy Lafleur set out to make hockey not just his job or his career, but his life. He too was the preeminent junior in Quebec City and in the country. The rink built for Beliveau, again full for Lafleur. But Guy Lafleur was a different kind of player than Beliveau. And in hockey, these were different times. No longer did the top prospects in Quebec belong by divine right to the Montreal Canadiens. But if not by divine right, then maybe by a little divine inspiration. 3 years before Lafleur was eligible to join the NHL, Montreal had traded for the draft choice they'd used to get him.
From the Quebec Rampart, Guy Lafleur.
Just a week before, Jean Beliveau had announced he'd played his final game.
People were expecting me to replace Jean Beliveau because he just retired, and I'm sure if it wouldn't have been for the publicity that I had, they would have sent me to Halifax. People expect me to score 50 goals the first year. I had to go through the system because I had to learn their style, and it took me 3 years.
Guy Lafleur learned well in those years. He went on to score 50 goals 6 times and to win 5 Stanley Cups.
I remember when I first came up, we've always been brought up with veteran guys, 12, 15 years old, guys who won the Stanley Cup, who knew what kind of feeling it was to win. And when you got too many young players on the team, it's tough to explain what it is to win the Stanley Cup.
Guy Lafleur became the most exciting player since Rocket Richard.
Every time I started the season, I used to put myself a goal. You know, I would like to have a 100-point season, things like that. Win a Stanley Cup. I didn't ask for 5, but I was asking for 1, and I won 5, and championship of the league 3 times, and I won most of the teams except for 1, the Lady Bing, but it's not too bad. But I'm very happy about it, and I didn't maybe have enough motivation at the end too. You know, I said because I had everything that I wanted.
Even for a great player like Guy Lafleur, retirement comes too soon. In any other field, he'd be in his prime. In hockey, his career is over. And it's more difficult for a man with the passion of Lafleur, who once said he sometimes felt his sport was more important than his family.
I always say what I had in mind, and I heard maybe my family, my wife, but she knew anyway that the way I was, and hockey was first. It was my career, it was my bread and butter, and I know it's not nice to say that, but to me it was very important that I concentrate myself on something that made me what I am today, and what gave me a lot of things. You know, hockey was, I don't know, it was like it was part of me. For me, it was my dream when I was a kid, and it's still, I look back and it's like a dream.
Mesdames et messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, Monsieur Aurel Joliat.
It just felt like as if I'd like to start all over again, you know?
He's okay. They made him tough when they made this man.
And then when I had the big acclaim, all of a sudden I hit the carpet and I took another nosedive.
Folks, he's having a little fun, I'm sure. But he wants to do it one more time. He played with the great Howie Morenz, an all-star left winger.
Well, Bobby certainly got the job done. Was he excited about coming out to this event? He was smiling and joking in that dressing room while getting dressed for this type of event. Just a bundle of laughs.
There it is, folks. Another great night at the Montreal Forum.
I feel good. Pretty good living, after all. We didn't make fortunes. I ended up broke. Not a dime. I owed money when I quit hockey.
j'ai deux amours, mon pays est Paris, pareil toujours, mon cœur est ravi, ma femme est belle, mais à quoi bon le nier, ce qui m'en sorcelle, c'est Paris, Paris tout entier. Le voir un jour, c'est mon rêve joli. J'ai deux amours, mon pays est Paris.
Everybody looking here, please? That's nice.
That's all.
Thank you very much.
I don't remember